Hey guys, welcome to BP, the Bible Perspective. Inward wake-up call. What the heck? This is why I say never bring ignorance to a debate. Now, before we get into it, please like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comment section below. All comments are welcome. Now, I just recently completed a 8-part series on Larry Elder's interview on The Breakfast Club. And then I titled it, Never Bring Ignorance to a Debate. And one of the motivating factors in me making this title, Never Bring Ignorance to a Debate, is a question that Charlemagne the God asked Larry Elders about, has he received a inward wake-up call? Now I'm going to let them hash that out. He's going to explain what he means by inward wake-up call, and then I will comment at that time. The point I wanted to make from it, that I think this was such a stupid question, that it made Charlemagne look even more foolish. I know he was trying to be insulting. In other words, he was trying to insult Larry's blackness, to which he's heard all of the insults and labeling that black people have given him. Tom, Uncle Tom, Sambo, sellout, coon, biscuit eating, alt, so forth and so on. He's heard them all, and in some respects, probably wear it as a badge of honor. You have to understand that Larry's primary audience, in other words, he primarily speaks to white audience. He had a national radio show. Again, when you see him on speaking engagements, his radio show, television interviews, primarily he is aiming at white audience. He is speaking to white people about black people. Now, you could, if you want to criticize him, of course, of being a sellout or whatever, okay, fine. What I'm going to say is that on the Breakfast Club, they invited him on the show for an interview. And then, of course, there was a debate. And my criticism of the Breakfast Club, like a lot of progressives, okay, you don't do your homework. So while I did not expect for Charlemagne the God and DJ Envy to bring depth to the discussion, okay, this is why they bring Teslin Figueroa on. That she will, first of all, the Breakfast Club's audience is primarily a younger audience that deals with hip-hop, black entertainment subjects like that. Okay, so they're going to talk more about the housewives of Atlanta and, who's screwing who in terms of the basketball or rap, whatever, right? Who shot somebody, whatever. But this is why they bring Teslin Figueroa on to address and to comment on like more social issues or political issues. Now, for her performance here, while she made some good points, I thought she came short. Because again, they focus on questions and subjects that just, to me, doesn't land any punches. And so Larry, when he decides to go on a show like The Breakfast Club, he does his homework. And he pretty much knows he can wipe the floor with him. He can wipe the floor with him to the point that they don't know what to do with him. They don't know how to handle Larry. So what do? You end up asking silly questions like an inward wake-up call. This kind of reminds me of another interview that happened, I want to say last year, it might be 2 years now, where Dr. Vodi Bachman, who is a black evangelical, obviously you can see, conservative, and I wanted to emphasize the black conservative part, that he appeared on the Dr. Ritchie show, who was a progressive. And So they were the interview. Excuse me. I thought Dr. Ritchie was doing well until uh, he decided to again ask a silly question. Like, and he asked um, Vodi Bachman, why do you worship a white Jesus or something to that effect, right? Do you worship a white Jesus, or why do you worship a white Jesus? And so those kinds of questions, you in a sense you're giving him those points because they can easily refute. They can easily refute. Um, uh, to me, the asinine question. Um, there was another question interview with I mean, not Doctor, his name is Christopher Rufo, who I think he worked for the Florida education system, but he kind of led the war on critical race theory, and he was on the Joy Reid show. And again, she asked him another kind of silly question about is he a racist or a white supremacist or something like that. I forget the nature of the question. But again, he was able to easily refute it and go, no, I believe in, equality for all, or something like that. Okay, I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember the exact question. But my point is that when progressives don't do their homework, they end up, you know, resorting to asking these silly questions. And so the same here with, Charlemagne the God who's asking Larry about a wake up call. Now, I'm going to let Charlemagne define what he means by a wake up call in a moment. Okay. But, okay, let's just get to it. Here we go.
I know you probably got to go, Mr. Elder, but have you ever heard of the term "nigga wake up call"?
No.
It is a
So, this is kind of almost beyond belief here. In other words, why is he asking this, right? Why is he asking this? And I'm not a journalist. I'm not a journalist. I wouldn't know how to conduct interviews, but I know sometimes with these, if this is meant to be a got you question, it is one of the stupidest got you questions because it didn't get them at all. Watch how Larry responds. But okay,
incident where a person of color forgets that they are of color and are reminded rather brutally by an unexpected act of racism.
Oh,
Have you ever had
brother.
any of
Oh,
those?
brother.
I'm just asking.
so again, yeah. So that again, so the wake up call. Well, in order to have the wake up call, you would have to kind of acknowledge it. And here, Larry Elders does not acknowledge any kind of wake up to the black cause. Now, we've always had in among black people that you always had people that kind of judge you. I'm talking about black people that would say you're not black enough, right? You're not black enough. I remember when I was growing up when I was going to school in the '70s. If you didn't have a large afro and wearing a dashiki, there were some people that would say you're not black enough. Uh, as if then you can say, well, who defines blackness, right? But it's the idea of sometimes you have people who get into situations and then they'll find out, like for example, there's a couple of cases that he could have brought up and maybe asked Larry about. So for example, um, um, what was his name? The general. He's a favorite Republican, Allen West, right? And um, you could say there was a wake up call, even though they didn't acknowledge it, where his wife gets pulled over for DUI. She gets arrested, and Allen West is furious because they didn't kind of give him the same kind of, you can say, white privilege treatment, and he was furious over that. Now, my point is, if she was driving drunk, then that was the issue. But if you want to say that could have been called a wake up call, as it were, okay? That you if you act as if you're white, and then all of a sudden you kind of realize, well, the police are going to treat you the same way they would treat any other black. Now that's what he means. Okay, that's what he means. One of the more recent cases, if you want to say, if a wake up call is out of the, I believe it was 19 people along with Trump that got indicted and then charged and booked. Now, all of the people with Trump, they they reported as they were ordered to. They were, in a sense, arrested. So they were probably handcuffed, fingerprinted, took mug shots taken, and then they bailed out. Okay, except one, and there was a black man, and he runs the Blacks for Trump. He didn't bail out. He had to spend time in jail. I believe he's bailed out now, but he had to spend time in jail. Now, a lot of people would say, well, was that a wake up call for him? And I'm going to say, no, it wasn't. But see, that would be an example of what Charlemagne means. The truth of the matter is that the reason why he didn't bail up is because he clowned. He did show himself to be a flight risk. And that's why the judge says you're not going to get bail because of some of his actions for that. So oftentimes they will say that, they go, well, okay, you know, these what they call wake up calls, and do black people ever receive them, or at least the black people that they would think should receive the wake up calls? Larry does not and will not acknowledge that at all, despite of how you may think. Like I said, the question to me is just so off base that what is the relevance of it? Here we go.
I'm just, you think you've ever
Well,
had one of
I'm
those?
acutely aware, Charlemagne, that I'm a black person, just as you are a black person. And when Joe Biden insulted you by saying, you ain't really black, we don't know whether or not you want to vote for me or vote for Donald Trump, it seems to me that should have been a wake-up call on your part. How dare this guy come in here and insult you, a black man, and tell you you got to think a certain kind of way? I'm amazed that you weren't mad about that.
So here's the interesting. It's not, to me, it's a false equivalence. The fact that when you say a wake-up call, the wake-up call would be some kind of inciting incident that a black person whom they're calling a sellout would experience a form of racism against them. So why didn't they respond by saying Joe Biden wasn't being racist? That wasn't a racist thing. He wasn't. He was again false equivalency. So my point is, you see, when you open the door for this kind of nonsense because you ask a silly question in the first place. In other words, what Joe Biden comments that Larry now is going to spew out has nothing to do with what he would consider a wake-up call. And that is when a black person who fits in with white society, assimilates to white society, is accepted by white society, right? Then receives the same treatment as the black person. In other words, they don't receive the same treatment as white people. That's what Charlemagne the God is trying to say. All right, here we go.
I'm not gonna say it upset me, just like I'm not letting you upset me. You know what I mean? I don't tend to.
What do you mean? You're the one that you asked the questions trying to upset him. You asked the question trying to insult him. Okay? So it seemed like Larry got under Charlemagne the God's skin.
Get upset over things like
Well,
that. But what I did say,
well,
to him
you
was,
just not
it's not
talk about
about.
a nigger wake-up call, and it seemed to me that that should have been a wake-up call on your part to have a white guy come in here who also said, by the way, about Mitt Romney, um, because he didn't want to put more regulations on Wall Street, going to put y'all back in chains. And Joe Biden has lied for decades about his civil rights record, claiming that he desegregated movie theaters and restaurants in Wilmington, Delaware, when he didn't do any of that. He lied and said that he tried to visit Nelson Mandela during apartheid South Africa. He did not. And he came in here and told you aren't even black and let you think a certain kind of way. It seemed to me that should have been a nigga wake-up call for you, but it wasn't, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, no, for the record, I'm not.
Well, first of all, again, it should have been anything. It should have been. I mean that what I mean. If you want to say what a wake up call is, personally, if you go all the way back, I don't even know why Obama put him as VP. So you want to go all the way back? I could say Larry had the point in that why did black people support Biden, and he also supported Biden. For the black people supported Biden, for the presidency. But that's a whole game of politics. All right, I'm going to stop it here because I just wanted to kind of let you see that point. And to me, the silly question of the N-word wake-up call. But this is why you don't bring ignorance to a debate. All right, guys, that's my perspective. Don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comment section below. All comments are welcome. Till next time, I'll see you then.